Is there too much AI news? This is something I've found myself thinking about a lot over the last few weeks, and in this video I'm going to talk about the absolute flood of AI generated content and content about AI and some of the methods I've put in place to reduce the noise and focus a bit more on the signal. So one of the biggest challenges of being interested in AI and living in a hyper-competitive world is that sometimes we think we need to keep up with absolutely every model release. This probably isn't actually the case, and we could probably get away with a much reduced information diet. But what we've experienced over the last decade or so is that social media algorithms and all the dopamine that comes with spending so much time on your devices means that it doesn't really cost us much to read one more news article or read one more X post or watch another little video explaining how to use workflows or add skills to some sort of product. We want to learn, we want to know more, and if you're curious, it can be quite a challenge. I've found since I quit my corporate job and have spent all this time testing out and working with AI that my own curiosity has sometimes gotten the better of me. I can find myself spending way too much time on my computer, way too much time on my phone, and that is a problem. It's even more of a problem because one of the challenges that we're seeing in the AI space is that as AI models get better and better, what's actually happening is the differentiation, or what you get out of each AI model, is less and less unique. If you look at the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index and all of the sort of benchmarks that they run, you can see that at the top, the index scores or the ELO scores between all of these different models are much closer, and that second rung down is not separated by much. This is why one of the things I've said to friends who are always asking, should I use OpenAI, should I use Anthropic? My advice is just pick one and roll with it. Like, just pick OpenAI, pay for a pro plan and leave it at that. Pick Anthropic, pay for a max plan, leave it at that. Chopping and changing every month between which one is best is probably a waste of time unless you're doing this for a living and you want access to all of those tools. What's even adding to more complexity is my take is a lot of people still haven't figured out that the coding harnesses and tools matter more than the models, and a lot of wrapper products that are trying to sell you specific AI agent type of tools are probably less effective than you just leveraging the power of AI to build something that suits your purposes exactly yourself with the help of AI tools. So all of these people are trying to build all these wrappers on the back of AI API endpoints when a lot of their target customer base would probably be better off just building their own thing. And a lot of people are forgetting that a lot of the pushback from enterprise salespeople who'll tell you, oh, then you'll have to support and maintain all this stuff, have forgotten that now you can just set up a long-running agent that monitors your little internal application you built and has instructions to patch it for security risk, make sure all the tests are run on every PR, make sure that all of the quality and refactoring is done, and remind it to make sure that slop isn't just building up over time. All of the stuff that you're using AI to help you with can be used to make what you're building just as efficient and well-maintained as an internal application at an organization that currently employs software engineers. So when it comes to your information diet and passing out the signal from the noise, one thing that I've done over the last few months is set up a daily news brief that's more curated to what I actually want to know about, and I've added in some debiasing to make sure that non-English news sources are considered, to make sure that it's not just the press release statements from people trying to sell AI stuff, that it's not just a copy and paste from an X post of a founder. All this sort of thing is super important because as we have this flood of information coming in, passing out like what should we care about and what can we just put on mute or ignore is more important than ever. And that's another reason why I think a lot of the pushback against AI detection tools is so misplaced. For me personally, I used to think that AI detection was nonsense, but since installing Pangram and doing extensive testing myself, I'm comfortable that it's providing a useful social good. It's useful if you're just scrolling through a social media feed to see quickly if something is AI generated, AI assisted, or human based on the Pangram assessment. Does this mean that Pangram will always be perfect? No, it's going to have false positives and false negatives, but I'm pretty comfortable that a lot of the people arguing so hard against AI detection even being a thing are trying to hide something. I've used AI a lot myself and I've got no issue disclosing that. And when people push back and claim that it's an interference in their creative process for you to know whether they used AI or not, to me that just sounds like a red flag. And I've found myself ignoring, muting, unfollowing, blocking a lot of people who have arguments like this, because we have one chance to scroll through our feed, and the less noise from AI slop that's on there, the better. We want human voices, because until the AI agents take over everything, my personal preference is I'd rather see the opinions of people and what they think about something, not what Claude or Grok told you to think about it in post. So these two issues, the volume of content that you can probably ignore because things are becoming less differentiated over time, and the flood of AI generated content, merge into this wider problem that I'm starting to think about a bit more deeply, and that's, what about all of the wider geopolitical things going on? Do I even have time to care or worry about any of that? And that's something that I've been disconnecting myself from. I've spoken about before on this channel and in my other social media posts that I've muted a ton of real world news topics. I just have no interest. I don't have the time. I think a lot of it is a distraction, and what I care about is focusing on my friends and family and the things I have to do as a person, and my own things that I want to do about learning AI more, deploying it, writing my newsletter, making my content. I kind of am constructing a little bubble, but it's not a bubble in that I want to exclude topics entirely. I just want to have more control over what's coming into my feeds, and one of the best uses of AI is in that deep research space, where I've found on some of the topics I monitor, being able to more easily read translated stuff has been useful in debiasing my perspective around things like open weight models and the utility of models that aren't just American. I think that there is a major problem with repeating talking points of people with vested interests. Just because the closed AI labs have raised billions of dollars and are triggering a multi-trillion-dollar investment boom in data centers and the rest of the entire AI stack doesn't mean that as consumers and as interested people in society, we have to agree with all of their talking points when it comes to issues like AI safety, regulation, whether open weight models should be allowed or not. My belief is that the world really runs on open source, and having that open weight capability, as long as it is subject to some reasonable safety guardrails by the labs that are releasing the open weight models, isn't that big a deal. And a lot of the people catastrophizing about this are forgetting that it's even worse as a society for one or two labs to be given some sort of central AI use licensing authority just because their tastes and preferences that don't necessarily align to the rest of society's can end up dictating who can and can't use AI for certain purposes. And we've already started to see a lot of pushback in this space with the safety classifier approach that some labs in particular are taking. And people hate getting safety classified. They hate getting sent to a dumb model if they've asked for a task to be done. And what I think we're finding is the revealed preference, what people actually want, is much more alignment to their own tastes and preferences, and not the tastes and preferences of people in San Francisco and on the internet. And what this does is present a really interesting challenge around the information space, because we're getting subjected to so many different things, and the conflation between a real issue and an issue that could be a false flag or something that is a marketing stunt is going to be harder to differentiate over time. I actually don't think that a lot of the cybersecurity incidents were marketing stunts at all. I think the root cause of them is around inadequate focus on cybersecurity setup and controls, things like logging and monitoring and all that sort of thing. In many organizations, if you were running tests and you had any of the consequences that the major labs had, like, you'd get fired, and there'd probably be criminal charges or civil lawsuits from the people that this happened to. But that doesn't seem to be happening, and we're still trying to understand exactly what's happening under the hood. But we're in this environment now where this pace of information doesn't need to be something we just accept. What we can actually do is take steps using the AI tools we have to reduce the noise, set up our own customized daily news briefings, use it to interrogate and assess sources to see if they're credible or not, and make sure that we try and take in things that are not just English language, big media brand that we we always have. Even a lot of the thought leaders and social media influencers we listen to, they sometimes have their own biases, and we just need to be careful because some of the decisions we make in relation to how we use AI in our life and in our businesses are going to be really consequential. If we make the wrong ones, we don't set things up properly to protect our data and privacy, and then down the line end up regretting some of the choices we made. So if you found this sort of thing interesting, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below, and let me know about what you're doing to actively reduce the noise in your intake of information related to AI.